Hey, good evening, everybody. Greetings and welcome to you from the Dark Radio Network Project. And it's 2022. Can you believe it? Thank God 2021 is behind us. Let's see what 2022 holds in this paranormal programming that we're living in. Anyway, it's our Bigfoot paranormal programming right here in America Disclosing, Uncensored. From the East Coast to the West Coast and into the dimensions. Stay with me and let's blow these doors down on this vault. Crush the lies, expose the truth, and share some talk and stories. And I hope you're ready. Hey, if you didn't hear, in rock today, I have a suspicion one of the band members of Led Zeppelin is going to be 77. Man, we're getting old, aren't we? Okay, that's true, though. And also bombs. A shell of bombs of UFO and information just keeps coming out daily. And pictures and posts are being shared everywhere. All information, I hope, will be true and live up to that and be informative. Keep looking up. Many answers can be found in the skies. There's no doubt about that. Again, I'm Michael Anthony. Thanks for joining into the Dark Radio Network Project. It's not always dark. This is who I am, okay? So, sets of Bigfoot prints showing up of the skunk ape, kind of making headway today throughout the post. You guys might have caught some of that. I'm on Facebook and whatnot. So it's some of the paranormal stuff trending out there because why is it paranormal? Why am I calling Bigfoot paranormal? Well, because he's like the invisible man. He truly is, you know. But they're good. They're clean prints, and they made plaster casts of them. And again, this is the Dark Radio Network Project, and I am a free entertainment network project. Everything I do here is free. It's all about my time, what I can put into it for everybody, for all you guys out there. I will never ask you for anything. You can count on that. There's no click here, donate this. It doesn't happen. This is all about you, your voice, what your experiences are. And if you have a story to share, I want to hear about it. I truly do. Remember, data provides everyone with new information. Help us when I ask questions, and I appreciate that you do. You guys are rock stars. Me and Dave P. will be on. We will talk more about it. And Bigfoot, excuse me, the real truth. Okay, so many groups out there, and I want to give everybody, their respect and so forth. Thank you to all the admins who do share the show and let me come into you. I got a great one for us today. I really do. I sometimes tend to go off a different way, different narrative, and then I do the upload, and that's what I'm doing for you guys tonight. So I hope you'll hang with me and dig this story. It is huge. It really is, and I'm going to enlighten you to some facts you may not know that are out there, and the possibility is that you'll have some binge watching to do, and that's the truth. So let's all head up to Alaska and go Bigfooting, because that's where we're headed right now. Let me get this out of the way and get to my notes. I got to keep notes, man. I do a lot of different podcasting, so understand where I am with that. All right. Coffee always has to be by my side. Yeah. January 22. Pretty impressive. The holidays are over. I got to take down my stuff. I got to watch my language there. I almost called them the BALLS thing. I got in trouble a little bit the other night with some paranormal enlightenment people. It was all in a good laugh. So let's go. Portlock, Alaska. Huge stuff up there, for real. A ghost hunt where it is said that it's possibly bigger than Bigfoot. It's just pure evil. So, yeah, that's where we're going. Anyway, it was a small place to live in and thrive. Built with a fishery, a cannery, a lumber supply outlet. Apologies, man. Apologies. That grew into nearly 100 people strong. Even had a post office, a church. So the people kind of moved in the early 19s, okay? But by 1949, it went to a complete zero. And it's a very interesting story. So I'm going to try to get through these pages of information and notes that I have. But I think you're going to like this, okay, for real. So, yeah, this is all in place. You know, it's thriving. People are living there. There's the occasional, what if something happened kind of thing. And I think you'll get the vibe as I get into this. But then people were disappearing, vanishing, washing up on shores. And they were shredded, okay, shredded. This took place over a period of where 30 people died. And it seemed to take effect within a 2 to 3 year period where mass deaths were being recorded and people were missing, being found, never found in some cases. They also had a mine up there. So this was just bits and pieces and parts of what this place was like. All right, so this is not a ghost story, but in ways maybe it is. If only that they could tell us, then we would know. That's why I'm here talking to you the way I am. So remember, a ghost town where there is said to be an evil or possibly a Bigfoot or some other unknown cryptid. We're just not sure. And it's all being looked into right now. Furthermore, the town, like I said, went from 100 to 0 overnight. Deaths from death to fear to the unknown. Meaning, after over 30 deaths, the population and the town got together and said, we're out of here. And they that was it. They left. It was gone. They were done. They left everything behind and they left the area of Portlock, Alaska. So with that happening, the indigenous, of course, the keepers of the land there, blamed it on Nanotech. So we're talking about Nanotech here tonight, with the possibility that he has supernatural powers. So if we follow what we know about Bigfoot, in ways there's a lot of truth to that. It's like 1 minute he's there, the next minute he's not. If you get a glimpse, you do. If he gets caught out in the open on the occasional, you can never get a good picture of him. Back in these days, in this early time of the 19s, you didn't have cameras and stuff. You went by the tales, the lores of the story, and more. That was your information. That's what was passed on. So now, 70 years later, the Nanotech people want their land back to grow and to possibly have a place to thrive again, because their population in numbers is growing. They need this land back, and they are the rightful heirs to this land. So they decide to go back to Portlock, Alaska. This is just past year, early 2021. And they go up there and they start, to do an expedition. Of course, before they left, it was mandatory that they went through rituals of blessings and so forth like that for safe passage and safety while they were there. This was going to be like, their own type of expedition back to their land to see if they could go back there because of the growth of the population number and share these two areas 3 hours apart and have substance again. So that's what this is really all about. So, you have this story. It starts out in the early 1900s where, they were there already. They were thriving. In the late 40s, all these mysterious things happened and unexplained things, unexplained deaths that match of no animals that we know of on this planet. And that was decided upon and within the time of what the scientific community would probably look at as being a good radical decision on what they saw. And now, if you are someone who lives in the outback, you would kind of know the habits of a bear kill and more and so on and so forth. But these bodies were, from everything that I could find out about it, readings, and now a documentary that's trying to come and push forth, that I want you guys all to get to know, and that's why I'm doing this story. All right, so the elders say don't go beyond the woods. Don't go beyond the tree lines. that is considered to be no man's land. So these are the instructions from the elders to the young, who are young but old enough with families and things already. They believe this story to be very real and prudent, and safety is a must while they're there. So they're going to go up and they're going to check all this out and see where it goes. As they start, they do notice immediately upon arrival the weirdness of it, the oddness of it, and they immediately have experiences like sicknesses, dizziness, hearing noises, tree knocks. Now, this doesn't happen within the first 5 minutes. Remember, this is 30 to 40 days of an expedition trying to make sure that they can go back and tell the elders, this is definitely habitatable. It has water resources. It has, fish. It has, whatever it takes for us to maintain, go and live there and move some of our people that way. So upon getting there, they immediately start over the first couple days to deal with this. The elders were a little worried about the crew when they went up there. And they basically hired what they called a beer guard to help them against, Bigfoot, or what they call Nanotech. They pronounce it Nanotech, Nanitiaq, I believe, Nanotech. Anyway, it's a little hard to remember, to be quite honest with you, but it's pretty cool. So, anyway, they hire this guard, and he's going to be hanging out with them and so forth, and watching over them. And immediately, like I said, with even in the first night, they went there, things weren't going right. When will they? You expect to know about things like that. There's always issues. They did find a structure that was still existing, that they had no choice but to stay in overnight, where they felt they come under attack of something very large on the outside. It made no penetration in, but it let them know that it knew they were there, and they were already in fear. So the fear factor was set into these grown men, without a doubt. But again, from what the elders have taught them, they understood the faculty of truth and the stories of the place. So with that all happening, they're trying to, bring themselves back down, I guess, into a place of like, hey, we got to get ourselves together here and so forth. So that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to concentrate, and they did continue. They've never given up yet. But the fact is, they've been dealing with a lot. So as this is occurring, and now they have a little bit of armed reinforcement there with them, again, they were reminded never to look or go beyond into what they called no man's land, into the woods. So the tree line now, you have to understand, in 70 years, it moved down towards the beach. They didn't have much movement. There were times they were going to have to go in it, and they knew it, especially for wood and so forth, for fires and so, how that goes. It's kind of like camping out in the wilderness, and that's exactly what they went up to do. It was part of the, what the whole plan would be. They had no choice in the matter. As far as the super weird vibes and whatnot, in the first night experiences, I said to you, they felt that there was a presence there that they were going to be dealing with. They did not know. They did not have a sighting of a Bigfoot or something else, but the smells did start. They picked up on scents and so forth, and the fears set in more. As it seems that, things like this sometimes can be that way. And doesn't it always seem that Bigfoot has a smell before you'll ever see him anyway? I mean, truly, that's, how it seems to me. Again, if you're just joining in, I'm Michael Anthony, and we're doing a little narrative and story about Portlock, Alaska. So thanks for joining in, and hang with me here. Okay, let me find my place, everybody. All right, so anyway, the smell. So that's always there. They also came across huge footprints. Didn't really address them at first, but they did see them. In some places, they had encountered hares. They also became sick. So here we get into the Impersonation. Now, that's come up on the broadcast here before, where these sounds, even though you don't hear the frequency of how this works, and I almost want to call it technology, but you can't. But something must occur, because it's very interesting throughout this whole story how that works, and it's a true fact. And there's also stories that I'll share into that are part of this, of the history that goes back with the historians and so forth, that describes several things of likeness to that. So anyway, going a little further here, as I said, this is 70 years now later, and they just want to see how the town is, what survived, because they basically left it and never went back. And now being in need of it, here they are, and they're starting to get up there. They know the stories, and that was probably raising the hairs up on the back of their necks from the beginning, going up, giving a little curveball to everything, and they're starting to deal with it. Didn't take long. So in ways, the town looks like it was taken apart, caved in, and more. So far, the only thing I understood to be was like one really good structure building standing, and it wasn't even good, but it was standing. And that was the building that I'll refer back to, that they had no choice but to stay in the first night, where they felt they were under attack. All right, but getting back into the 30 that died in many different ways, and the kind of like a 3-year period, not to say that there wasn't other deaths and things that had happened. They brought them to the conclusion, and actually went over 30 deaths. And you figure your population of 100, and something like this is going on, it's going to, scare the bejeebs out of you. I mean, it really would. I mean, make me think about, do I want to live here as well? Because it wouldn't make any sense. So, in 1949, they basically called it quits, and they got the hell out of there, and that's why the boys are there now doing what they're doing. Again, 7 years later, to see if they can thrive and survive on this plot of land that they have, that's theirs. And history up there may be repeating itself from everything that I'm seeing so far, that's being reported on it and that they're documenting. So you have all these mysteries that go back now. This is pretty intense, but it's true. While they're there, they reach out to a historian because they're trying to understand some of the narratives, and they're there for many reasons. Safety was of the utmost importance, and that's why the Bear Guard was hired. And somebody else is going to come into the picture, as well as another friend to come up and give some back to the guys and so forth. But that friend didn't last long. He didn't last long. But here's what gives another little mystery to it. In the 1700s, there were 2 expeditions that went up there. And they made landfall. And I guess they searched and so forth and made notes. And in this, they were Spanish, by the way. And 7 of their men got sick and died. And that was enough for them to say something's not right with this land here. But when they did get there, what was reported in some of the papers, it said that the Spanish did perform some type of possession of land and humanity thing. No joke. So they arrive, they come on land, and they just basically take it over. Everything becomes theirs. And while doing it, 7 died, according to how I got the story. And I'm really looking forward to you guys being able to catch up with this thing. This is really pretty interesting. And remember, it's going to be out there kind of like, a format of a show. But it's on a different level. And it had a lot of interesting, captivating issues about it that I think everyone's going to really dig about it. So just bear with it and try to understand and take all the information as you can, because it gets pretty weird. It really does. Now, you got to remember, the 1949, these people fled out of there for whatever reasons, and they did live. The point that I think of reference here that we're looking at, they were able to live there, and there was never no mention about them being sick. Sick came to the Spanish for some reason, and now sick is affecting the young team of, from the indigenous going up to check out their land. and they are actually suffering with this type of sickness and dizziness. So that's, I want to be clear to that for everybody. So, all right, so they're going to explore this. They're there. They're finding out that there had been a couple ships that came through, but no one ever reported really of any magnitude of people or anything on the islands. So that's the name. The last explorer that went up, his name was Nathaniel Portlock. Now, he was the one that went onto the lands, and the only thing he could find, what he thought, were possibly tribe Indians and so forth, and they weren't even there. So, signs of life, but no life. Where'd they go? It's kind of like the Mayans, if you think about it, you know, but true facts here. So, it's always had a history of an issue. Death, shredding up of bodies like they were just ripped apart. Not eaten, just ripped apart like nothing or no animal that they know would ever do something or enact like that. Anyway, further on here, we're in 2021 right now. And these are the guys. They are going through sickness, as I said. It doesn't come all the time. And they're staying out there pretty much daily, doing the best they can with everything going on. Furthermore, with the historian, in 1867, it was reported through a San Francisco newspaper that in the town of Portlock, it was reported that there were giant people attacking and eating people. So now you have another narrative. Are there still giants amongst us? Is this why the deaths of people that have died look different? Now, I don't know how big these guys are. You'll have to watch this to check out some of the narrative to it, because it's really interesting. And make your own decision, of course. You know, I'm not going to try to persuade anybody. And either way, to me, it refers to Bigfoot, and that's why I'm bringing it to you this way. So, all right, in 1867, that was a report that was out there early enough. In 1920, another story was that there were hunters that went up there and they never returned. And as a matter of fact, one hunter went to hunt and never really got out of the community. They thought he did, and they found him, as they've been finding everybody else, dead in the same type of manner, and he never even really got to what they felt was the hunting grounds. So is it Bigfoot? I don't know. We're still moving forward on this, and they're going through a lot of trouble. And where wouldn't we expect to go through trouble? As I said, with cameras and different effects and everything that's going on there. So are giants living out there, or is this truly Nanotech? I don't know. The Bigfoot. It's something we have to, maybe reflect on, especially where no man has been for 70 years. The possibility, maybe. Who knows? Maybe. All right, so we know about all the 1900 to 1949. We know that this is a group, a culture up in Alaska who's growing out of their land, and they need to put their families into another place. They went through a lot of death up with their family there. They go from 100 to 0, meaning, there was like 60 people left, and they got the hell out of Dodge. I mean, and you can't blame them when there was nothing but death starting to surround them everywhere, and no reason for it to occur. At least none reported, none that we have in writing or testimony or witnesses by anybody. So that's what makes this really cool. So it's for 70 years, it's empty, and they go back, and they're showing us this all, and it's really, really cool. But the historians and all that stuff, it's something that you want to get into to do a little bit more work on and work up if you really enjoy this kind of stuff. So what they are hearing here and what's going on, the most of is sickness, growls, howls, tree knocks, whistles, footprints, and all they want to do is claim the lands, And while they're walking through the lands, they then find what is considered to be a landmarker. Historians, again, did have some notations to something being placed there for proven ability of who owned the lands. And that was probably what the Spanish did when they got there and they created their possession ceremony. And that's what they called it, some type of possession. That means they took the families, everything became property to these people, okay? And that's how they were in the world. That's what they did. No matter where they went, they traveled, they wanted the money, they wanted the resources, they wanted the minerals, etc., etc. And maybe this is part of how another piece of a puzzle gets pulled into this whole narrative of how this culture worked and authoritized over other groups and cultures to take over lands and the riches of the lands and so forth. So that they speak of this land marker, which these boys found and so forth, and they did discover it. And something out there they hear in the whole tree forest area, where they could hear movements of like really huge trees and witness them moving, just violently shaking. And I mean, you need a bulldozer to kind of make trees the size of this do that, to shake them. So they were witnessing things that were beyond what they understood, without a doubt. And they were questioning everything at that point. So I'm going to back up just a little bit. Some testimony that did stand out good was the cannery. Towards the end, in 49, they had actually hired people to come up and stand guard for them so people would work, because they were fearing being at work. And they would stand outside actually with guns in hands watching the place so people could have a productive work day and so forth, and the fishery as that went, and the cannery. So that was another issue that did occur prior to the whole jump where they decided to close the town and just leave. One of the other things that was mentioned was they could hear whisperings of what they explained were different languages in the distance, and they couldn't make out the languages. They did not know of what tongue they were speaking with. And this was said. So it's testimony, it's witness documentation that the historians have in their possessions. So in a way, you must ask yourself, is this paranormal? Is it Nanotech? Is it Bigfoot? I don't know. But the interest is here. Believe me, I'm not the best one to take you through a story. I mean, it's my thing, but it's a little bit more in depth. And what I'm trying to avoid here is exploiting the whole story, because I'm going to tell you how you can get to find out where this is at and watch it if you don't know anything about it. So I hope I do due diligence to at least get good points across for everybody. But this is more than turning into a Bigfoot expeditions. And there are signs upon signs of bad ways and bad things to happen with these guys. And they're really feeling like this is probably never going to work back out. Our land, and we can't even have it. One of the concerns is that they even brought up in conversating between each other, the fellows that are there, where can we live in peace with him? Well, I have a guy comes on the show, and I introduce him as the man that lives amongst them. But that doesn't mean it can work out everywhere. I don't know how this works. And again, I don't even know as well as they don't even know what they're up against yet. So here, it's a battle. They decide to do some other type of typical work. Now, I don't know if they went up prepared with this, but evidently they had it. So they put up trail cams and different devices. And as soon as they do, everything goes dead. Now, we know that that occurs in paranormal scenarios. And when you have a place where you have attack deaths, people being shredded apart, it makes you wonder how the spirit body would work, or who might want to haunt them grounds and so forth. So, yeah, nothing stayed live. When they figured, well, we'll come back tomorrow. We're going to check out the cameras. We should catch something on it. And every camera pretty much just went down and went dead. And again, it's almost like poltergeist. It's almost like, as I said, paranormal. Which one is it? Or is the capability of Bigfoot? Are we not giving him enough credit? Or is it the possibility of what this, referring back to the San Francisco newspaper put out, that a race of giants were killing people up on this island? I don't know where they got their information from. it was done during the day. Well, journalism was good journalism, right? I mean, you know, we at least hoped back in the day that everyone was reporting in an honest way. It's a little bit out of control right now, you know, in America, and I'm not going there. I'm just saying, there's things just weird that way. So here, what I think is you have 100% case positive proofs to many things. So they start to, you know, do more investigation work. They're hearing things every night that they go to bed. They're having things, they're seeing things being moved. They come across a buoy that should have never been in the water where it was. This buoy winds up into a tree when they leave. So they leave, they go away, they're out investigating, but they're not just investigating Bigfoot either. They're trying to do everything they can to take notes, to tell the elders of what is there, what is on the property, what they are finding. And this is a big piece of property, mind you, okay? A very huge piece of property. So they come back, and it's like somebody visited the camp, went over of great height, and placed the buoy up into the inside of a pine tree that was it was high. It was high. I'm not joking. You'll be able to see it on real film, or I'll just give you some more narration through this at a different day and time. If someone, you know, I can't do it weekly. It's easier to do it and break down like 6-7 episodes through one format. But there's something up there that's definitely powerful. They're seeing all these things happening. They're seeing like a scrape mark of one claw in trees, like they're being marked. And this claw mark and the depth of the scratch, the indentation, the power shows strength that, I mean, we don't have it. You know what that's like. If you go up to a tree and try it, and you know, I don't care if you take the biggest football player, tell him to do it. This is something different there. And these trees are being marked that way. And they're big trees. So, again, they're moving on more forward. They're trying experiments in every way that they can, taking notes to everything, being open-minded. And then they have a medium visit that gets sent up through the elders to try to help them. Well, this lady wasn't too bad. No joke. Evidently, she wasn't being told where she was going to be flew to, and they brought her up in a helicopter. They didn't want her to know anything. They wanted her to analyze the situation, tell the boys anything they could to keep them safe. They were in communication with the elders while they were there, and they knew about things, and that's why they sent this particular person up. And she walks around with them and so forth. She says, when I get around anything that's not good, I become sick to the stomach. And they all look at each other because they've all been getting sick and violently throwing up and stuff. And that's the easiest way to say it. Well, she doesn't really want to go there. She says, there's a place, I don't want to go that way. I want to go in this direction. And then she starts describing people being in like the area of the water, being found dead, being mutilated, and so forth. Somehow they talk her into it, or she decides with them to go over. And the story changed there. She led them right to this marker, by the way, which they believe was put in by the Spanish, who did this possession of land and put it in as a land marker. And she got a very bad negativity from it, and the area did not suit her well. But they got a lot of decent information from her. A lot of things collaborated with of what she could share with them, of what I guess she called her so-called angel guides and so forth were providing her with as she shared to them. Shortly after going to this land marker, though, the place that she didn't want to go to, that's when it kind of all fell apart for her. And she basically hit dodge and got the hell out. She was scared. She left. But they knew she was accurate. And they even said she had no idea where she was coming. How the hell would she know anything about this place? She would have to be a very serious historian to read every aspect of every part of every place out there. And they just didn't find out to be the case scenario for it. So she leaves. But these people of Nanotech, they just want to claim their land back again. And that's why they're there. And they're trying to do what they can to provide their elders with the best information that they possibly can on everything they share. Because, again, it's a safety thing. They left over safety. They need to return. They need their land back. But they can't go back to negative forces, Bigfoot, or something that's so unexplainable that, you know, you're just never going to have a chance to be there. And that's the position they're in right now. That's the position they're in. So with the medium leaving and giving them what they could, they're back at square one, basically. And safety must be their first decision to live there. And I don't blame them for that. Now it jumps into the case scenario where they're using some paranormal equipment and different things, and they're having experiences with that. As well as one of the gentlemen felt that he got whispered directly in his ear and had no visual sight to any side of him, in front of him, or behind him of anything being there. So, again, can they do voice projections, infrasound? Do they possess all these abilities? Are they the watchers over the dead souls in some mannerism, trying to protect the grounds up in Portlock? Is that the purpose that they have and that they're defending this land for? And they do, and they are. And as I get into this a little further, they are defending the land in some mannerism. They do not really want these people back there, and it's quite evident. And again, I'll share more with you on where you can find this and how you can watch it, and you will binge watch it. I guarantee you, it's pretty cool. All right, going a little bit further here, using the paranormal equipment and further finding things by using them to help them, they bring in now a Bigfoot expert. Now, this guy's been out there for a lot of years and had his own experience as well. In some cases, people judge him very high and credible. In other cases, listen, we're in the Bigfoot thing here. We can talk as people. Some are yay, some are nay. I don't know. But, he has a lot of years out there, and that I know because I know the name, and you probably will too. I happen to think he's a pretty credible guy. And I think he went there for the right reasons and used his experience as well as his knowledge and life experiences searching for Bigfoot and more. His name is Ron Moorhead. He has done some things, been on film before, but while with Ron was able to actually believe in the unbelievable for one of the very first times in his life. He said on a scale from 1 to 10, this place was a 10 of the highest unknown type of Bigfoot actions and encounters that he had ever experienced in his life. There was an 18-inch footprint found. There was a tree that was snapped halfway up that had no indication of storm or storm damage to it. So they were navigating through things in a certain area. They took them to the landmarker and around that area that everybody was kind of like reluctant to always go back to because they would hear noises and tree knocks, growls and howls, and every once in a while a whistle or something that sounded like mourning doves or something of the nature of that. So they do communicate, they do hear, and as Ron told them, you have more than one hair. And they thought they were dealing with like a Bigfoot. Now, if you think about this, 70 years later, they would have had to multiply. There must be more than one there, I would think. Somehow, some way, multiplication. Even in us as people, what we do, I'm just saying, it makes sense. And how he analyzed it to help them the best way he could was basically to tell them that they are in a place where it seems to be 100% in his thought and mind related to all Bigfoot. Now, we do know that there are some other people that would have other narratives to this, saying that there are different types of other cryptids out there that could possibly do the same type of damage and whatnot. And keep in mind, so far, nothing has been seen, nothing has been captured on camera. But everything's there that you would expect to be there that people normally get, except it's very much more intense, as Ron verified, Ron Moorhead. So, he went up to help out, and that's what was going on. Also, it's like Bigfoot it makes me wonder, in my mind, when I watch something like this, and then you hear people too, of course, because, it's being said, is this something dimensional? Or are they part of the human world? or spirit world? Or is it something alien or supernatural with supernatural powers and abilities? And all they want to do is truly protect the lands and their food sources. It seems to be that this could be one of the case scenarios. So again, between the death of many people, death that occurred around the ships that came in, the sicknesses that happened around them, it didn't seem to be of any poisonous gases or anything like that coming from the earth, where they could have been near something, and that can happen. There can be something like that, but that didn't seem to be the issue here, a possibility in any means. So, what we're dealing with here, and especially when people lived there from the early 19s and made a productive town out of the place, they even, like I said, they had a post office, they had a church, a cannery, they had a mine. They actually had a mine, which, by the way, some really cool houses were coming out of. I'm not joking. So you're going to have to check this out. And I hope I'm enticing you to go look and binge watch this for a while. I ain't getting nothing for this. I just came across it, and I do Bigfoot, and I thought, well, this would be a great interest story to just put out. It's on a different level and character of presentation than none that I've seen so far in some ways. So just keep that in fact. I mean, truthfully. Then they find coins, okay? And it seems that, of course, when you do landmark property, you can, in fact, find coins from the people who come there. So if it was English, you took it over, you'd find an English coin. So that's why probably even on Oak Island, where they find coins, certain periods of times when people come to the island, oh, well, they're gone. It's ours now. We're going to claim it, and they bury coins and so forth around the island. It was something that they did. So you have things like that. And maybe up at Oak Island, that's one of the same types of narratives. So anyway, there's a lot more to this. I know I'm skipping and jumping a little bit, but you got to stay focused here with me for just a little bit longer. I'm almost done. And I hope I intrigue you enough to sit down on a weekend and binge watch, because you're going to enjoy it, And that's a good thing if I can make you, put your mind in a different place, a narrative of this world where we are and what we're living in. So, furthermore here, when you go through this story, again, just to recap some of it, early 1900s, they developed Portlock. This was named after somebody who basically roamed around in a boat and, kind of was a territorial guy and liked to put land claims out there. And his name was Portlock, and that's where the name came from. But again, everybody that ever went there left. Everybody that ever went there had experiences that were just beyond weird. Even in fact till today, and this time now, maybe a little bit behind because they were within filming and so forth for the show. But this is done and based purely on truth. And the people that it represents are truly religious and just want the facts. And the priority here is, can they live on this land? And it's needed by them. And they need to know that they can thrive and build again there, because they have no other lands in Alaska to go to. This is like their marker, deed marker, not by land stones, because these people are all gone out of the picture. They're just gone. 1700s, the people through the 1800s, and then they come in the 1900s. They do things the right way. They get the lands given to them. They're there. They go through this catastrophic event of death and more, and they zero out. They take off. They abandon it. Now they're back 7 years later, and it's pretty fascinating stuff. It's really, it's not going to keep you high on your toes, but it's going to keep you interested. I guarantee you. Now, getting back to what this all is, it's called the Alaskan Killer Bigfoot on Discovery Plus. Now, some of you guys may know it and say, oh, I knew that's what he was talking about. That's fine. I'm glad you're out there. I'm glad you're researching. That's part of what I do too. But I wanted to come back in a different mannerism tonight and shoot something out there to the Bigfoot community and just let you know I'm the real deal. I just don't always upload into the Facebook groups, and now I have, because the growth has been there. and it's stretching out further. I'm working with David Parker on our Night Blog Radio. So try to catch that on our Dark Radio Network project. It's the 2 speakers. They come out, it's black. We do like old history radio type, I know. Some people were asking me, oh man, one of you guys should be on video. It's easy, it's funner to watch. Okay, well maybe we'll make that change. But for now, it's still that sector. It's kind of like, let's give the real truth to people. Let's give them the way it once was, put it into their ear so their mind can work on it instead of looking at this mugshot here. Anyway, I'm Michael Anthony, if you don't know that, and this is a broadcast of Studio 10, broadcast 10 o'clock talks. Again, also, that helps, I don't know if you guys are familiar yet. I may have made mention, I may have not made mention. Not only is this the Dark Radio Network project, it's part of the Facebook community, America Disclosing, Uncensored. Look it up. Check it out. Me and Dave's working on some really fascinating posts, archaeology, underwater. I mean, really, it's pretty incredible. UFOs, and that's why I tell you, you got to look up. You don't know unless you do watch, right? You got to look. Hopefully you'll get a clear day to do it. We get suppressed that way where we do not get, clear days. So, is this a ghost story? A haunting of some sort? Is it truly Bigfoot? Is it Nanotech? They claim it's Nanotech. Ron Moorhead says it's Nanotech, Bigfoot. By everything that he's seen and experienced at his stay for the couple days that he was there to investigate. The medium never really made a determination, but said that there was a presence. To her, maybe like in an unknown way, but something existed, a presence of something. Can Bigfoot be the guardian of lands and ways? Is it that they want it for themselves, that they feel that they've been there the longest, and it does truly belong to them? We see things on paper. They live within the trees. The spirit of the trees, the wood spirits. And maybe we don't respect that enough. In most encounters, you never hear of shredding of bodies that were just mutilated apart. I mean, like of strength that we just don't even understand and know of. Or can they be that vicious? I don't know. These are things we don't know. This is what makes it a lot more even intriguing. Do they have capabilities of supernatural powers? Can they throw voices? Can they manipulate you in your own mind? Can they distort your way of thought using the infrasound? Well, of course, we do know that there are things out there, narratives and talks, and in some ways proofs that these things can occur. And I've even spoken to a handful that confirm that there are some type of something, an infrasound that does happen, can happen, did occur to them, and they, in fact, have experienced it. Yeah, I'm not on the TV platform, but I do look into it that far, and I asked a lot of questions. I also want to thank everybody out there in the groups, especially the Bigfoot group. It's really important because you guys have been answering all the questions. You gave me a whole database across the country where your sightings have been, and that's really cool, and I appreciate it. Again, just to go back, this is in Portlock, Alaska. It's called the Alaskan Killer Bigfoot on the Discovery Plus channel. Please look into it. I don't think this is a ghost story, but it's sure coming across of one because we're looking into a supernatural pattern of powers and abilities here. And maybe we can learn a lot from this and this show. So look it up. They do a weekly. I don't know if it's just going to be one season. It most likely seems that will be the way it is, a hit and run kind of show. They were only doing this investigation from 30 to 40 days, if they could last that long, and they're starting to get up there towards the end already, and it's not looking good. Is in a way the word, could they go there, be safe, and thrive? They're not getting that kind of groove out of it at all. And you'll probably agree with that when you watch. So again, this is Studio 10 Broadcasting. I come to you tonight from America Disclosing Uncensored. This is part of the Dark Radio Network project, except you can see me. I am Michael Anthony. I know it's kind of all over the place because I took notes, but here's the reason why. It's a show that you can watch right now and check out that has what I think some very credible information with credible people, pretty credible details and findings. More than I've seen on, I mean, they're coming out much quicker here, okay? You're not waiting 3 seasons to see something happen. And look, I'm not trying to dog Oak Island or any other shows that we watch out there. It's 12, 13 years already up at Oak Island, and it's either they're stopped by this, they need a permit for that, can we drain the swamp, can we not drain? I'm not talking about the government. That didn't even happen, you know? We're going to drain the swamp. But no, even they're going through that. They're finding roads, but where's the treasure? You know? And it's 12 years later. I don't foresee that to happen here. So please check it out. Again, I make nothing on my format. I'm not looking for nothing. There's no donation button to hit. Just enjoy as you can. Share it. Share me out. I am Michael Anthony. I am on the Facebook page. Check me out. Look me up. Okay? And I'm going to see you soon and share this to all the groups in the Bigfoot and Paranormal. Look for me every week and every Wednesday when I do the Dark Show Radio Network project with Dave P. Okay? Take care, guys.